Whether you're struggling in the early going or you're trying to sustain a top spot in your fantasy leagues right now, this video I'm going to be providing you with players I think you need to be adding before week 4. Forwards, defensemen, and goaltenders, the whole lot. This is going to be a good video, guys, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. No better way to start this video off than looking through some of our forward odds. There's going to be 2 slides here. So the first one, Mikael Granlund of the San Jose Sharks, center, right wing eligible, 30% roster. And as I was making this list, now this doesn't look as bad, but I'm like, man, there's so many good odds on bad teams right now because there's just been so many injuries across the league. And with Mikael Granlund right now, he is slotted into the line 1, power play 1 role. He's dual eligible, center, right wing, and 30% rostered over on Yahoo. The minutes are outstanding to me. He's the top 10 average time on ice forward so far to start this season. Now, my biggest concern with Granlund is the shot volume and the overall underlying peripherals, but the peripherals have been really good. So maybe he's slowly changing his game to be more of a shooter first type of player, or just doesn't have the help in San Jose. But 2150 average time on ice is nothing to be afraid of. 9 points and 29 shots on goal. He's had a very strong start to the season. He's likely going to only be available in 10 to 12 leagues. So some of those deeper league players or managers that are watching this video, Granlund's likely not available at this point, but he's had a very hot start to the season. I'm definitely going to be riding that wave. Right now with Casey Mittelstadt, this Avalanche team they cannot stay healthy. I just saw last night that Ross Colton was injured. He's been one of the best ads to start the season so far. But Casey Mittelstadt, not a benefactor of the Ross Colton injury, but still slotted into that line 2 power play 1 role. They need as much help as they can get offensively, and Mittelstadt has been playing a ton of minutes. It's crazy that this guy's only 30% rostered, but playing almost 20 minutes a night on one of the league's best power plays in Colorado. 9 points to start the season, with 5 of those points coming on the power play. Similar to Granlund, just a little bit of concern with the peripherals, but as long as he's still playing on the top power play unit in Colorado, which he should be for at least the next couple of months until we start to see some of those top end forwards return, like Lehkonen and Nichushkin, Casey Mittelstadt becomes a very intriguing ad. Brayden Schenn here, we know there was an injury to Robert Thomas, out 4 to 6 weeks. Brayden Schenn seems to be the biggest benefactor at that, at center, left wing eligible, 19% rostered over on Yahoo. Let me know if you guys are struggling with finding certain positions on your team. For me, especially in the Fantasy Puck Patreon League, I am very struggling with left wingers right now. I'm currently running out Cutter Gauthier and Fabian Zetterlund. But with Brayden Schenn here, he's just 19% rostered. He's going to be playing line 1, power play 1. With Thomas out for at least the next 4 to 6 weeks with a fractured ankle. His minutes are starting to climb a little bit, 1735 per night. The peripherals are great, 24 shots and 18 hits. Exactly what you want to see from a guy who may not be the top end point producing player that you want to be adding to your team. But as long as the peripherals sustain with the high shot rate and high hit rate, the numbers are going to come offensively, and he's going to be paying off big dividends for you in the short term. Sean Monahan here, just center eligible, so I understand why you may not be able to roster him, but at 16% rostered, this Columbus team is just up and down with injuries right now, but he's currently playing line 1, power play 1. The minutes are crazy, over 20 minutes per night in a highly offensive role. He has 7 points so far to start this season and 21 shots on goal. Again, like I always say, as long as they're playing high offensive roles, line 1, power play 1, they become a player that you need to be prioritizing in fantasy right now. With Connor Garland here, there's been some line shifts for the Vancouver Canucks. We saw DeBrusk playing on the top line with Elias Pettersson. Pettersson's off to a very slow start. But we saw DeBrusk get moved to the line with JT Miller and Brock Besser. And now Garland has moved up to play alongside Elias Pettersson. I think he's currently playing left wing right now, so maybe we start to see him get left wing eligibility. But he's also been moved up to the top power play unit, which that power play has been extremely good over the last couple of seasons. So hopefully he can start being a little bit more of a benefactor offensively from there. Just 11% rostered for a guy that's going to be playing line 1 with Pettersson and power play 1. 18-23 average time on ice. So over that 18-minute threshold that we're kind of looking for in some of these top end players. 6 points and 2 points on the power play to begin the season. So a lot to like here from Garland, and I can see that ownership percentage starting to scale up a little bit as we start to see the points come from Garland. Moving on, guys that are a little bit less rostered, Kiefer Sherwood has been extremely exciting right now for players that are fantasy managers that are in bangers leagues. He's dual position eligible at left wing, right wing. He's just 9% rostered, and the hit volume has been absolutely absurd to start the season. So he's currently playing line 3, and the minutes just really aren't there. but the hits are there. He's currently one of the top hitting players in the NHL right now, 44 hits to start the season. So if you're in a league that counts hits, or you're losing your hit stats each and every week, it could be worth it to add Kiefer Sherwood here. That can get you potentially up to 25 hits in just 1 week if they have 4 games. It's really hard to pass up that value, especially if you're struggling in the hits categories. I know for me, typically in leagues, I like to draft a lot of goal and assist players and shot volume players, and I always struggle with guys that produce hits. So Kiefer Sherwood seems to be a great add at this point in the season, as long as he can sustain that hit volume. Kirill Marchenko over on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Like I said, there's a lot of value on these bad teams right now. He's just 12% rostered. He's playing line 1, power play 1, averaging over 19 minutes time on ice. Actually 19 minutes on the dot right now, with 8 points in 16 shots to start the season. For those that understand the reference, he was the Cy Young winner a couple of seasons ago, and hopefully he can start getting back on the board in terms of scoring goals. But 8 points, 3 goals, 5 assists, and 16 shots to start the season is very, very good for Marchenko on a Columbus Blue Jackets team that seems to be producing more offense than you'd expect. But maybe we start to see some regression here. With Nick Foligno, he's just 11% rostered. He's currently skating line 1 with Bedard and on the top power play unit, which has actually been pretty good to start the season. He's averaging over 18 minutes per night with 4 points, and the peripherals have been very good. It's almost like the opposite of Brayden Schenn right now, with a little bit of reduction in shots at 18 and an increase in hits at 25. As long as Foligno continues to get good reps on the top line, top power play unit, and continues to sustain these pretty solid peripherals with the hits and shots on goal, the points are going to come. I can't see him being more than a 50-point player, but he definitely has the upside to be a 150 shot, 200 hit type of player, especially with these minutes he's getting right now. So a lot to like here from Foligno. Cutter Gauthier is an interesting story. He was a must-add for me. I drafted him in a few of my leagues. He had that crazy 12-shot game, 18 shot attempts in preseason, and so far this season, the minutes have been fluctuating quite a bit. I know he was demoted down to the 4th line for a game, but he's back up on the top line with Killorn and Leo Carlsson. He's currently still playing line 1, power play 1. Again, the minutes are a little bit all over the place. Like, we're seeing 15, we're seeing 18, we're seeing 12. But as long as he can start to sustain that 15 minutes average time on ice for maybe the next little bit of the season, we're going to see that shot volume continue to rise. So far this season, he has 13 shots on goal, but 37 shot attempts. And most players, especially forwards, there's a stat called the shot through percentage. And usually forwards have about a 56% shot through percentage. So either he's taking bad shots. I don't watch the Anaheim Ducks games, but if we have Anaheim Ducks fans, let me know what you're seeing from Cutter Gauthier, especially recently, where we've really started to see that shot attempt volume go up. On a per 60 rate, Cutter Gauthier is currently 9th in the league for shot attempts per 60. So as long as he continues to fire that puck, the shots on net are going to continue to go up. And then we're also going to start seeing him put the puck in the net. Sometimes with these rookie forwards, it takes a little bit for them to get used to the pace of the NHL and the length of the schedule. So hopefully we start to see Cutter Gauthier come around as the season begins to progress, and he starts to keep up with the pace and understand how fast the NHL actually is versus the NCAA. But a lot to like here from the former 5th overall pick. We saw the shot volume in preseason, and we're seeing the shot volume early so far this season. The Ducks haven't really played a lot of games versus, for example, the New Jersey Devils, who've currently played 10 games, and they play again tonight as I'm recording on the 25th. And it's a little bit interesting to see what's the development of the schedule so far. But hopefully when Anaheim plays a little bit more games, especially against the San Jose Sharks, we're going to see Cutter Gauthier put some points on the board. Lastly, with the injury to Anthony Duclair, Anders Lee has been moved up to the top power play unit. He's currently playing line 3, power play 1. He's just 12% rostered. He's been a guy that's been like a fringe roster player in 12-team leagues over the last couple of seasons, but he's sustained, again, a solid shot volume and a solid hit volume with 25 shots, 13 hits, playing over 15 minutes per night. The big thing with Anders Lee is he is a high danger chances for machine in the NHL, because similar to Brady Tkachuk, if you understand the high danger chances for, basically is about players that take like high quality shots in the blue paint or like really close to the front of the net, and Anders Lee parks himself in front of the net and he always gets those really strong high danger chances. So Anders Lee is definitely an interesting player here so far with the shot and hit mix and the Corsi 4 mix, where he is a top 10 Corsi 4 player to start the season. Moving on to our defensemen, there's not really a lot of value of the defensemen going into the next week, but I definitely wanted to note at least 5 of them in this video. So Jamie Drysdale here, he's just 9% rostered. He's currently playing pair 2, power play 1. He seems to have that power play 1 role solidified, And as long as someone, especially defensemen, are skating on the top power play unit, I'm always going to have interest in them because the point production will be there at some point. I just want to see his minutes scale up a little bit better and the peripherals scale up. But as they're not currently as good as we've hoped so far from Jamie Drysdale, Jamie Drysdale. Jamie Drysdale. So we haven't seen those peripherals really scale up to where we want right now. And that's pretty much been the reason why that roster percentage isn't too high. So, I mean, as long as he's skating the top line, pair 2, power play 1, the minutes are going to be there. He's played 22 minutes in his most recent game. It's all contingent on how much power play time they do get. But in those like 14 plus team leagues, if you're really struggling on defense, this is definitely a really solid speculative ad with the upside for him to be producing at least 35 to 40 points this season. With Colton Parayko here, he is just continually a peripheral machine that plays a ton of minutes for the St. Louis Blues. He's 36% rostered, so he's likely not available in those deeper leagues, but in your shallower leagues, again, if you're struggling with peripherals, you want to be trying to roster guys that can help you out on a day-to-day basis, and that's exactly what Colton Parayko does. He's averaging almost 24 minutes per night with 15 shots, 15 hits, 24 blocks. He was a triple 100 peripheral player last season, which is over 100 shots, hits, and blocks, and he looks to be on pace for that same exact outcome this season. With Jake Walman, it looks like he was demoted down to the second power play unit. Currently still playing on the top pair and playing tons of minutes. The peripherals have been great so far for Walman. If we compare Parayko, who's 22% higher rostered, you know, the shot volume's a little bit higher for Walman, the hit volume's a little bit lower, and the blocks are a little bit lower, but still very similar numbers to what we're seeing from Walman with Parayko as well. So at just 14% rostered, as long as he continues to play these big pair 1 minutes for the San Jose Sharks, I still have a lot of interest in him. Now, with the news that Vince Dunn is now placed on the LTIR, unfortunately, he's been very good to start the season. Raker Evans gets a pretty significant bump here at just 4% rostered. He's skating pair 2, power play 2, and the big thing to note here is they do have a power play 1A and a power play 1B, so Montour will now move up to the top power play unit or power play 1A, and Raker Evans is going to be taking over power play 1B, and he's currently skating pair 2. He's played pretty good minutes since the injury to Vince Dunn. He has 5 points to start the season with 11 shots and 8 blocks. A deeper league type of ad, but still I like the upside here on power play 1B. I've never said that so much, I don't think, on the Seattle Kraken. Lastly, a 0% roster player, so some of those 18-team league guys that are looking for defensemen here. It looks like Jack Thompson has been moved up to the top power play unit. He's never really been a highly offensive player in his career. His most points were 36 in the AHL. But still, as long as he's skating on the top power play unit, he had 2 power play points in the most recent game. And to start the season, 3 points and 3 points on the power play. The biggest thing, again, like I always say, as long as he's skating on the top power play unit, I'm going to have interest and definitely going to be taking a flyer here on Jack Thompson and some of those deeper leagues. Moving on to the goalies, there wasn't really much goalie value or changes really in the last week, but still, there are some interesting developments in terms of goaltending. You can see with Justus Noonan, finally, he was in my last must adds video, and he's currently the thumbnail of my must own goalies video. So hopefully you're able to draft him and hold strong on him. If not, hopefully you were able to add him on waivers. I own him in 2 of my 6 leagues right now, so I'm very happy with the outcome from a Noonan so far. I'm just like, if you're an Avalanche fan, you're like pounding your desk, like, please stop starting Georgiev. I didn't really know why Bednar kept starting him. Maybe it was a management decision. Maybe it was just his own decision, trying to help regain his confidence. But Georgiev hasn't been good, and look what happened when you started Justus Noonan, the backup goalie, who we hoped would be the starter this season. He seems to be fitting into that role very quickly to start the season. In the last 3 games for the Avalanche, Noonan has started all 3, has picked up 3 wins, a 208 goals against average, and a 917 save percentage. Now, a lot of people in the comments earlier when I talked about Georgiev were saying, Noonan hasn't been good either, but he was coming in relief in the first couple of games to start the season, and it's very hard for a goalie to get into a game when he starts the game on the bench. And look at the outcome since he's been the starting goalie. This is a guy we're going to be seeing move up to about 70% rostered at some point in the season, so you still have time to add him, and you definitely want to make sure that you're doing that right now. With the Detroit Red Wings, we've seen a lot of weird developments in their goaltending. Ville Husso started the season as the starting goalie, was waived, Cam Talbot had a couple great starts in a row, but Alex Lyons had even better starts so far to start the season. In 3 games, a 146 goals against average and a 955 save percentage. If you're a Detroit Red Wings fan, you know Lyons saved the season late last year when he was able to fill in that goaltender 1 role and was like very, very strong for them. And hopefully we start to see this a little bit more from Lyon at just 25% rostered. I don't like the Wings team at all. I don't think they're going to be close to a 500 team this season. They actually won a game the other night on the road against the New York Islanders, where it was a 1-0 game. They had only 10 shots for. Kind of crazy. But still with Lyon, a lot to like here, that he looks to be the starting goalie of the Detroit Red Wings. Well, Joel Hofer, just 19% rostered. I think right now he's currently probably the best backup in the NHL. I think he does have an opportunity to start at some point, but the biggest thing is that Jordan Binnington's standing in front of him, and he's been very good to start the season. So I don't know what we're going to see from Hofer right now, but if you're in a categories league, you want goalies that help improve your goals against average and save percentage, and you can do that by rostering some of these elite backup goalies who will start against the worst matchups each week, and Hofer seems to be a great add so far this season. Now, speaking about tough goaltender developments, this Pittsburgh Penguins team has been an absolute nightmare. With Nedeljkovic returning back to the lineup, Tristan Jarry was scratched. And Nedeljkovic had back-to-back starts where he allowed 8 goals. So I think I'm going to be proceeding with caution with Nedeljkovic right now. Maybe rostering him in deep leagues and only starting him against some of the easier matchups. But if I'm seeing Nedeljkovic on the road against the Avalanche, I'm likely not going to start him. But if he has a home game against potentially Columbus or Anaheim, that's where I'm going to be a little bit more interested. So he's a speculative ad. Proceed with caution with him. But in those deeper leagues, if you're really, really desperate for goaltending, he's a very good speculative ad at this point in the season. That will do it for the must-add players before week 4 of fantasy hockey. It's kind of crazy we're already here, but hopefully you've had a very good start to the season, or we can help you try and turn around your season, guys. Make sure you join our Discord. Lots of members in there. We have about 1,700 active fantasy hockey managers that are talking hockey every night. We can help you make decisions on your lineups, on your trades, on who to start, on who to bench. There's a lot of things going on in there, so make sure you hop in there if you aren't already. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Thank you so much for all the support so far this season, guys. We've reached 10,000 subscribers. I know a lot of you have really pointed that out in our comment section, so it's been a great grind for us, and we're very happy to do it. So thank you for watching, everybody, and we look forward to seeing you all in the next video.